Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start lying down. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. Open your knees away from each other and bring your hands to rest on your belly and your heart. Allow your eyes to close and start to focus in on your breath. For today's sequence, we're going to be doing a lot of dynamic stretching. So a lot of our stretching will be very short little stretches over and over again. With these short stretches, we do want to continue to match our breath with our movement. Start to instigate that breath in this posture. Let your knees fall open. And then when you're ready, stretch your legs long in front of you. Stretch your arms long back behind you. Big good morning stretch. Pull your ankles away from your wrists. Get really long here. We're coming into a side bend, what I sometimes call a banana stretch. So you can bring your ankles over towards the right side of your mat and then reach your arms up and over towards the right as well. If you want to go a little deeper, you can actually catch your left wrist and really tip yourself over into this side stretch. And now slowly bring yourself back to center, and we'll just take this the opposite direction. So your feet can go over towards the left and your arms can go over to the left as well. If you'd like to catch on to your right wrist, you can pull yourself over even a little bit further. Breathe into that space. And then slowly come back. Release your hands. We're coming into a one-legged happy baby. Pull your knee towards your armpit and grab the outside of your foot with your hand and then release it. We're going to do that 4 more times. We're holding the stretch for about 2 or 3 seconds and then let it go. Dynamic stretching and warming up this way is just a different way to warm up versus holding the stretches for a really long time, which has benefits as well. Dynamic stretching is a great way to prep and prime your body for more short bursts of activity. So that could maybe be jumping or running. If you haven't already, start to take your 5 on the second side. Half happy baby. Pull your left knee to your left armpit. Catch the outside of your foot. Hold this stretch for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before you release back down to your lying down position. And continue to try to incorporate your breath as you move in and out of the stretch. And then after your 5th time, roll yourself over onto your belly. Make your hands like a pillow underneath your forehead. Bend your knees. You can separate your knees slightly and then just start to find a little side-to-side windshield wiper movement with your shins. A nice way to release through the lower spine and to find a little more range of motion through your hip. Just let your shins fall heavy in both directions. And then bring yourself back to center. Release your legs back long behind you. Bring your hands outside of your mat, tent your fingertips, lift your elbows up, press down through your finger pads, lift your body up for your cobra stretch, and then release your body down. And we're just gonna keep that going, a nice little flow through the spine, going up and down. I like to add the neck and the head in as well, just to find even a little more fluidity here through the joints as we warm up. Go to your range of motion. We're still early in our sequence here, so go as far as you can go and then bring your body down. Allow weight in your fingertips here. As you're coming up and down, try to keep your shoulders pulled away from your ears. And now press yourself back to a child's pose. Give yourself a few moments for breath here in your child's pose. And just notice how the breath already might feel different now that we've been moving with intention, even just for a few moments. Every exhale, let the hips sink heavier to your heels. And then slowly transition through tabletop and move to downward facing dog. You can find a little movement here if that feels good in your body. And we're coming into a little sequence from our downward facing dog. Lift your heels up high. Keep your heels lifted and bend your knees so your hips go back towards your heels. Then slide yourself forward for high plank and then move your hips up to downward facing dog. So we're gonna take this 5 times total. On your inhale, lift your heels up high. Bend your knees and send your hips towards your heels and then slide yourself forward. Inhale, long high plank. Downward facing dog, and continue to take this with your breath. Go at your own pace. And after your 5th time, we'll meet in a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up into the air, and then bend your knee, open your hip. You can take a little bit of movement here if that feels good. On your next inhale, straighten your right leg and step your foot between your hands, and then gently lower your back knee down to the ground. Lift your arms up into this low lunge. So we're finding a nice hip flexor opening in the front of your left hip flexor. Bring your hands down, flip your back toes, downward facing dog. Find the other side, lift your left leg, and then take a little movement here. Bend your knee, open your hip. On your next inhale, extend your left leg, and then step your left foot so it comes between your hands. Lower your back knee down towards the ground, and then bring your arms all the way up. Lift through your chest, lift through the sides of your waist. And then bring your hands down to frame your left foot, flip your back toes, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, lift your right leg high. And now step your right foot between your hands. So kind of similar, lower your back knee. Keep your hands down, reach your chest forward, and now shift your hips back. We're coming into this modified half split, and we're going to continue to move back and forth between these two postures, between these two stretches. So on your inhale, bend your front knee, drive your chest forward. And then on your exhale, think of like a contraction through your spine as you bring your chin to your chest. And then just keep this moving with breath. This can be helpful to use blocks or bolsters underneath your hands if you need that. Let's say we take one more round and then press yourself back to downward facing dog. Next side, lift your left leg, step your left foot between your hands and lower your back knee. Drive your chest forward on your exhale. Try to straighten through your front left leg into this half split. Now, if your front left leg does not get all the way straight, that's completely fine. We're more focusing on just getting the stretch of the hamstring and moving from one stretch to the other. So we're feeling that nice long stretch through the front of your right hip flexor in this low lunge. And then we move into this nice hamstring stretch as you shift the hips back. Let's say we do one more go around here. And then bring yourself back to downward facing dog. Flip your back toes, downward facing dog. From here, walk your feet up towards your fingers. Separate your feet for a ragdoll pose, bend your knees, and then slowly roll yourself up to stand. Feel your vertebrae stacking as you come all the way upright. And then once you come to the top, if there's any little movement you want to take, maybe a shoulder roll or a head roll, anything that feels good to adjust to stand. And we'll start to take these big arm circles. We're going to take 5 in each direction. Think of finding a big backstroke through water here. So give yourself just a little bit of resistance and let each circle become a little bigger. After you've taken your 5 in one direction, start to take 5 in another direction. You might notice that your shoulders get a little bit involved, your rib cage gets a little bit involved. That's okay. We just want to find and move through this range of motion. After your 5, separate your feet. Bring your hips down. We're coming into a chair pose squat, and we're gonna start to add in a balance element to this. So I want you to pull one knee up and bring the opposite elbow across to your knee, and then switch sides. We're doing this 5 times total each side. So we're starting to find some activation through the legs by moving in and out of this squat, but we're also starting to find a little more range of motion and some of that dynamic stretching by moving the torso and finding this twist in the torso. Move with your breath. Take this at your own range of motion. If you need to decrease the squat, go ahead and do that for yourself. And then after your 5th, bring yourself all the way up to stand. We're coming into another set of switching balances, figure 4 balances, switching from side to side. So bring your hands to heart center, cross your ankle over your knee, and then send your hips back. Stay at the bottom for maybe like 2 seconds, and then bring yourself up and out of it and switch to the opposite side. So every time that you bring your hips down, bend your bottom knee. Really think of pulling your hips back behind you and encourage your top knee open to the side. So we're dynamically stretching through the outer glute. We hold a stretch for about 2 seconds and then come right out of it. Continue to press your palms together. We take this 5 times each side. Continue to move with your breath. And after your 5th go around, just bring yourself back to stand. Our next exercise is a standing mobility exercise using either a wall or a chair or something stable. We're just going to come into a set of leg swings. Now, leg swings are a pretty common way to warm up through the hip and through the leg, but it really is a great dynamic exercise to prepare you just to work out at the gym or to take a dance class. Once you take about 20 on one side, find this on the other side. We're not here for very long. You can flex your foot, you can bend your knee, doesn't have to be pretty. After you've taken these profile, we're gonna face towards the chair or the wall, and then just find this little side to side motion. Just another way to find range of motion and movement through your hip joint. Take about 20 in one direction and 20 in the other. Again, you can have a bent knee, straight knee, flex foot, doesn't matter. And after you've taken your 20, bring yourself back to your mat. And then from here, bring yourself all the way down to your back. We're moving into a bridge pose. Press your hips up. And then once your hips are lifted, make sure that your weight is evenly placed through your foot. So you're not bringing more attention to your pinky toe edge, but your big toe is pressing down into the ground as well. Slowly start to lower down. We're coming into another variation of bridge called bridge marches. So you're going to shift to one foot, press your hips up, and then march the other knee up towards your chest. And then just take this side to side. So this is a great way to activate one leg at a time. And then we also feel the activation in your core, bringing the knee towards your chest. It's also that sense of coordination of being able to lift and lower while you switch legs. Let's say we take this one more time each side. And then pull your knees in towards your chest. Grab hold of your fingers, your wrists, your forearms. We're moving into an easy twist. Open your arms out to the side and then let your knees fall over towards the right and your gaze can go over towards the left. Bring your focus back to your breath here. We're moving out of our dynamic stretching and we're starting to find some more restorative stretches to finish off our series. Bring your knees back to center. Let your knees fall over towards the left. Bring your gaze to the right. Reconnect to your steady breath here. And then slowly come back to center. Happy baby with both feet. Grab the outsides of your feet. Pull your knees towards your armpits. If you'd like, you can find a little side-to-side movement here. Maybe straighten one leg or the other. Find a little bit of playfulness in your body. Maybe you want to buzz out through your lips or move through your jaw. And then bend your knees and roll yourself upright to a sitting position. Cross your ankles. Bring your hands to rest on your knees with your palms down or up. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And just give yourself several moments of stillness and silence with breath. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.